Welcome to Once Upon a Crime, where dark truths, lost legends, and twisted fairy tales come to light. Once, she was a child of light, her laughter a melody that filled the castle halls. But shadows crept into her life in whispers, carried by a curse older than her bloodline. The spindle's prick was not merely a moment of fate, it was the touch of the dark arts, binding her to a slumber where centuries passed like the blink of an eye. In her sleep, she wandered a world between worlds, neither life nor death, where the faces of her past contest to her in echoes. Her mother's voice, her father's smile, and visions of two princesses she had never met, one with hair as black as midnight, eyes burning with courage, and another crowned with gold, her heart steadfast in faith. When she awoke, they were there, the two princesses from her dreams, standing before her as if the vision had stepped into the waking world. Snow White, her raven hair braided and eyes fierce, spoke first. "I am Snow White," she said, steady and clear. Rapunzel, golden hair braided and whip coiled at her side, added softly, "And I am Rapunzel." Aurora, the name she had always known, whispered it aloud. "Aurora." Rapunzel's stare was unrelenting. "Aurora is a ghost," she said coldly. "Those who knew her are dust. Sleeping Beauty, that name has survived the time, and so must you." A hush fell over the three princesses, broken only by the distant rustle of the forest. Slowly, they began to share their stories, of curses and betrayals, of kingdoms lost and hope reclaimed. Threads of courage, faith, and peace wove between them like an unspoken vow. When their truths were finally spoken, curses endured, betrayals suffered, kingdoms lost, the past no longer weighed upon them like a chain. Instead, it became a compass, pointing toward what lay ahead. Together, the three princesses walked to the outer gates. Beyond them stretched the unknown, shadowed forests and jagged mountains, a path unwritten. With every step, they moved farther from what was and closer to what must be. And in Sleeping Beauty's heart, one certainty remained. Whatever awaited them, it awaited for a reason. At the forest's edge, they saw the glow of fire. Beneath the blood-red moon, a circle of witches stood chanting, their voices rising like a storm. Suddenly, one witch caught sight of them and hurled a searing bolt of lightning fire across the clearing. Snow White's instincts surged. She drew her dagger and rushed forward, clashing steel against sorcery, but for every strike she parried, another came. She could only hold off one witch at a time, and there were 7 in the coven. Rapunzel moved to follow, her golden braid whipping through the firelight, but a blazing fireball struck her, hurling her to the ground. Sleeping Beauty froze in shock. Her breath caught as she closed her eyes, and the world blurred like a dream. She saw Snow White and Rapunzel surrounded, witches unleashing storm after storm of fire upon them. But before the magic struck, she willed it still. In her stillness came power. The fireballs halted midair, suspended like stars. Time itself had frozen. Opening her eyes, she saw Rapunzel still struggling to rise. Rushing forward, she grasped both Snow White and Rapunzel's hands. She thought of her kingdom, her home, and in an instant the battlefield vanished. They stood within the walls of her castle, safe but shaken. Then the air split with brilliance. A blinding light flared in the great hall, and as the glow parted, Snow White beheld a figure emerging. Lilith stepped from the radiance, her presence divine. Snow White rushed to Lilith's side, her dagger lowered though her body still trembled from battle. She introduced the others with a steady voice. "These are my sisters in arms," she said, motioning toward them. "Rapunzel and Sleeping Beauty." Lilith's eyes glowed like dying embers as she regarded the two princesses. Her gaze was piercing, as though she could see beyond their flesh into their very souls. "So the threads of fate have woven you together at last," she murmured. "I have watched how you stand against their power, and by the look of it, you will not endure for long," Lilith said, her ember-lit eyes unblinking. "Yet beauty, hers is a heart at peace, and from that stillness she may draw strength and wisdom. She knows survival does not lie in clashing steel, but in escape. Her sanctuary is her palace, for she carries the gift to leap not only from place to place, but from world to world. That is your best defense, for now. If you cannot overcome them, do not be fools. Withdraw, regroup, and plan anew." Her voice hardened, each word burning like fire over stone. "The witches you face are no ordinary foes. They are the witches of the 7 deadly sins. When the blood-red moon rises, the heavens permit a dreadful stirring. Pride, envy, wrath, sloth, greed, lust, and gluttony awaken within mortal hearts, driving men into deeper trespass. From each sin committed, the witches drink their fill, and their strength swells, feeding upon the corruption of the world itself. And those mortals who already bear one of these sins will fall further still, consumed and driven to sin all the more." Lilith's gaze lingered on Snow, her voice low and unwavering. "Snow, within you lies the gift of courage, not a weapon of steel, nor a charm of enchantment, but a fire placed in your spirit by the hand of God himself. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is the will to rise even when fear claws at your bones. Learn to wield it, and no shadow will make you bow." Then she turned to Rapunzel, her ember-lit eyes softening though her tone carried the weight of eternity. "And you, Rapunzel, yours is the gift of faith. Faith is not born of sight, nor given by fairies or enchantments. It is the unseen cord that binds you to the divine. Guard it, nurture it, and let it guide your steps, for faith, when true, can move heaven against hell itself." Lilith's words deepened, echoing like a prophecy within the cobweb-strewn palace halls. "Do not forget, these gifts are not of fairy nor fate, but of God. They are entrusted to you, that mankind may know his existence through you. For when evil rises, when demons stalk the earth, when men are seduced into sin, the light within you will bear witness that God is, and that he reigns still." She straightened, her presence burning like a crimson flame against the ruin. "But know this, the path ahead is not bound to this world alone. Rapunzel, when you meet your parents, it will be but the beginning. Beyond lies another place, another realm where evil festers, where demons rule, and where blasphemies rise that may rouse the wrath of God himself. There your gifts will be tested as never before. And beauty, you are unlike the rest. God has gifted you with a peaceful heart, a heart untouched by the storms of wrath, envy, or pride. That peace is not weakness, but strength. It is the stillness from which all power flows." She stepped closer, her red braid catching the dim light of the ruined chamber. "You slept for 100 years, yet your spirit did not wither. You have walked between worlds as others walk between dreams. This is no accident, nor enchantment of chance. It is the gift God has placed within you. When your heart finds peace, when you return to that stillness you once knew, the way will open. Just as you willed yourself to slumber and awaken, you may will yourself to be where you must. Your heart is the key. Peace is your doorway." Her words lingered in the cobwebbed silence, carrying the weight of warning and promise alike. Do not doubt this gift, for when the hour comes, when the storm of sin grows too great and the world groans beneath its weight, it will be your peace that delivers you and those bound to you from the jaws of darkness. But know this, gifts alone will not keep you alive. Courage, faith, and peace are weapons of the soul, but the body must be honed as well. You must prepare. She straightened, the ruined hall trembling faintly under her words. Tomorrow I will teach you not only how to defend yourselves, but how to wield both spell and steel, craft and cunning. I will show you the ways of witchcraft and wards of strength and strategy. Yet mark my words, these are not toys for pride nor tools for vengeance. You are to wield them only when the need is dire, when no other path is left before you. For to reach too quickly for power is to invite the same corruption that feeds your enemies. Her ember-lit eyes swept over each of them in turn. Steel your bodies, sharpen your minds, and guard your hearts. For what awaits you is not merely battle, but a war written in blood and shadow. The night was long, but dawn came shrouded in ash-gray light, spilling weakly into the ruined palace through shattered, stained glass. Dust clung to the cobwebbed halls, and in that silence, Lilith began her work. She turned first to Snow White. Her black braid hung loose as she gripped the dagger at her waist. Lilith's hand hovered over the blade, her ember-lit gaze burning through snow. Courage is already within you, she said. But courage without mastery is recklessness. You must make your fear serve you, not rule you. Snow raised her dagger, trembling at first, but under Lilith's voice she steadied. Strike after strike, parry after parry, she learned to let fear sharpen her, not shatter her. Then Lilith beckoned Rapunzel forward, golden braid coiled like firelight, whip glimmering at her side. Faith, Lilith said, is not blind. Faith is a rope, a tether to something greater. Grip it, and it will not let you fall. Rapunzel cracked the golden whip, sparks scattering in the dim light. With every lash, every sweep, she grew sure, not of her strength, but of the hand that guided her beyond herself. Her faith steadied her arm, her breath, her spirit. At last, Lilith faced Sleeping Beauty. Her silver-white braid shimmered like frost, her pale face serene. "You carry a heart of peace," Lilith whispered, her tone softer now. "But peace is not stillness alone, it is power, the stillness before the storm." Beauty closed her eyes, inhaled, and the air around her stilled. Dust hung motionless, the cobwebs froze like carvings in glass. Even the sound of their breathing faltered. She opened her eyes, and time itself bent beneath her peace. Lilith's voice rose, echoing against the broken stone. "You see now. Courage, faith, peace. These are your gifts, born not of fairy blessing, but of the Almighty Himself. Remember this. Evil thrives when men forget God, but through you the world shall see that light yet endures, for you will stand against the sins that devour them." The flames in her eyes dimmed to embers, yet her words struck harder than steel. Tonight you were taught. Tomorrow you will be tested. That night, when the ruined palace was swallowed in moonlight and cobwebs quivered in the cold wind, Lilith led the three princesses into the great hall. The shattered throne loomed behind her, a crown of dust and ruin. She raised her hands, her voice curling like smoke. "The witches you will face draw strength from sin. To master your gifts, you must first face those sins within yourselves." The floor cracked open. From the shadows crawled twisted figures, shrouded in smoke and fire. They were not witches, not yet, but reflections of the 7 deadly sins, illusions born of Lilith's craft, meant to test. Snow White's trial, courage. From the darkness stepped a towering beast, a figure wreathed in wrath. its eyes aflame, its hands like claws. Snow's breath caught, fear gnawing at her chest. Her dagger quivered in her grip. "Strike not with trembling hands," Lilith called, her ember-lit gaze fixed on her. "Let your fear sharpen your edge, not break it." Snow exhaled, steady now. She lunged, dagger flashing, courage burning brighter than her terror. The beast fell in ashes, and Snow stood taller than before. Rapunzel's trial, faith. A figure of greed slithered forth, its hands laden with gold and jewels that melted into ash the moment they touched the floor. It whispered in honeyed tones, tempting her to trade her whip for promises of kingdoms, thrones, and crowns. Rapunzel's golden braid gleamed as she lifted her whip. "Faith is worth more than treasure," she said, her voice unwavering. The whip cracked, splitting the illusion apart. Sparks filled the air, and her faith burned stronger than any temptation. Sleeping Beauty's trial, peace. From the shadows rose Envy, a mirror-like figure bearing her own reflection, twisted and cruel, whispering lies. "You will never be enough. You slept. You lost a century. Others will always surpass you." Beauty's silver braid glowed in the pale light as her lips parted in silence. She closed her eyes, breathing deep, her heart as still as the frozen lake. Time slowed, then stopped. The whispers fell silent. When her eyes opened again, the mirror shattered into dust. Lilith's voice cut through the stillness, fierce as fire over stone. "You see now, sin cannot be slain by steel alone. Courage, faith, and peace are the true weapons that sin cannot devour. But beware, the real witches will not come as shadows. They will come clothed in beauty, power, and lies. If you falter, they will feed." The hall fell quiet. The shadows retreated, yet in that silence, each princess knew the truth. This was only the beginning. And by the power vested to Sleeping Beauty herself, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Tap that little bell, and who knows, you just might live happily ever after.